Hey, what's up folks? Mike Locke here, ML Web Consulting. Thanks for tuning into this video. Let's talk about Adobe Illustrator, Fireworks, Photoshop, or Fireworks, Photoshop, and Adobe Illustrator. These products I have used, with the exception of Photoshop, which I rarely use. I've used these products on my videos, and oftentimes when people see me using Fireworks, they always ask me, what's the difference between Fireworks and Photoshop, or why do you use Fireworks over Photoshop? When they see me creating logos in Fireworks, they're asking me, why don't I just work in Adobe Illustrator? Here's the thing on these three products. I'm going to explain the three. Adobe Illustrator, first off, is used for print. It's mainly used for creating vector art, logos, and vector art in the sense that when you create something on the canvas in Adobe Illustrator, you can basically use that for large print job, and you really can't do that with sort of bitmaps and JPEGs and things which you use in Photoshop and Fireworks, which you can, but Adobe Illustrator is primarily for creating vector art, illustrations, cartoons, posters, brochures, flyers, logos, etc. Right? So I use Adobe Illustrator for that purpose. But when I'm creating mock-ups and concepts, I always use Fireworks. And Fireworks and Photoshop are essentially the same thing. Fireworks or Photoshop would essentially be, if this analogy makes sense, Photoshop would be a Ferrari, which has everything. Huge engine, which is the top of the line sports car, where Fireworks might be, a Porsche, half that, where it's still a nice sports car, but it's not a Ferrari, if you will. Fireworks is basically, I guess, a light version of Photoshop in that I like using it first off because when I first started designing websites, it was basically the first tool that I started using all of Macromedia products, which was Macromedia Fireworks, Macromedia Flash, Macromedia Dreamweaver. Eventually, Adobe bought Macromedia, which turned all those products into Adobe Dreamweaver, Adobe Fireworks, etc. Right? So the reason why I use Fireworks is because I first started off using Fireworks, and I was so used to the interface and the tools that I just stuck with it. It was just primarily my choice of product. But working in the web design industry, 95% of basically the industry use Photoshop. Every job that I've been to required, that I know Photoshop. And believe me, I don't know Photoshop in a sense, but I've been successful, throughout my 15-year career in designing, mock-ups and things like that in Fireworks because I'm so used to the interface and things like that. And the cool thing about Fireworks now is that I can produce mock-ups and export or save the PNG work file off as a layered PSD, which is huge. So in my office, I work with a few developers who one requires PSD files from me. So when I'm working in Fireworks, I just save that off as a PSD, layered PSD, and I send that off to him. If another guy works with Fireworks and he accepts, my layered PNG work file, I'll just save it off as that. So that works easy for me. So I primarily use Fireworks, and it's my tool of choice. It does everything that I need to do. It's built for creating graphics and mock-ups for the web, whereas Photoshop has more graphic editing tools, and it's better for creating high-end complex graphics, whereas Fireworks pretty much can do just your basic, everything else besides, squeezing things and all that type of stuff. So I like Fireworks because it's just light. I can select objects without actually having to select my layers. There's a lot of things that there's a lot of reasons why I like Fireworks over Photoshop. So, But what if you're just starting out in web design and you've seen me use Fireworks, I would recommend probably learning both. But first and foremost, I would recommend becoming well versed and fluent in Photoshop, because it is the industry standard. And so when you're out there looking for a job, 95% of the companies that you're going to be interviewing with or working with, they want you to know some sort of Photoshop. And me, being like a dinosaur in the web design business, my portfolio speaks for itself, and I get by not knowing Photoshop and just knowing what I do. Companies don't care about what product I use as long as I can produce good work. So that's my excuse, and that's why I use Fireworks. It's just it's like my sketch pad to do everything. So when I'm creating logos, I always start off in Fireworks. When I'm creating mock-ups, it's always using Fireworks. But for logos, I might finish it off in Illustrator, but I'm always working in Fireworks for everything that I do. So that's the difference, and those are like sort of my I guess 2 cents on each of those products, and why I use them and how I use them. All right, so hopefully that's helpful and that clears up a few questions for you. If you have any questions regarding this, shoot me an email, mlock@mlwebco.com, and I'll be happy to answer. All right, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.